The members of the Galactic Council shifted nervously in their seats as they watched another recovery team bring back the remains of their latest expedition. This marked the seventh failed attempt to study the creatures of planet X-227, and even the most advanced species in the galaxy had nothing to show for it except broken equipment and lost lives. "We must mark this planet as completely forbidden," declared the tall, blue-skinned head counselor, his voice heavy with defeat. "These beasts cannot be studied or controlled. They are too dangerous." The massive viewing screen behind him showed footage from their latest disaster. Enormous wolf-like creatures, each standing taller than a transport vehicle, ripped through reinforced steel barriers like paper. Their thick, dark fur rippled over muscles developed in the planet's crushing gravity, and their 6 eyes glowed with an intelligence that made them even more dangerous. "The planet's gravity alone makes it nearly impossible for most species to operate there," another counselor added, his tentacles waving in agitation. "And these creatures have evolved to thrive in it. They hunt in packs, they show advanced problem-solving skills, and they seem to actually enjoy destroying our equipment." As the council prepared to vote on declaring X-227 a restricted zone, a junior officer burst into the chamber. "Counselors, we've detected an approaching ship. It's human." The chamber fell silent. The humans, the galaxy's newest spacefaring species, were still something of a mystery to the council. While technologically less advanced than many races, they had shown a remarkable ability to survive in conditions that would kill most other species. The human vessel, a sturdy exploration ship named Horizon Seeker, dropped out of faster-than-light travel near X-227's orbit. Its captain, James Miller, stood on the bridge looking at the beautiful but deadly world below them. "Captain," his communications officer called out, "we're receiving an urgent message from the Galactic Council." The message was clear: stay away. The planet was deadly. The creatures were unstoppable. 7 different species had failed to even establish a basic research post. The death toll was mounting. Miller scratched his beard and smiled. "Send them our thanks for the warning," he said, "but inform them that we're proceeding with our mission." He turned to his crew. "Ladies and gentlemen, we've done our homework on this one. These creatures share remarkable similarities with the ancient wolves of Earth, just on a much larger scale." The bridge crew nodded, already familiar with humanity's long history of working with dangerous predators. From the wolves that became dogs to the massive bears some ancient cultures had trained, humans had a knack for connecting with deadly creatures. As the Horizon Seeker descended through the atmosphere, the ship's enhanced gravity systems kicked in, compensating for X-227's crushing pull. The crew had spent months training in high-gravity conditions for this mission. Through the viewing windows, they got their first real look at the creatures that had terrorized the galaxy's finest scientists. A pack of them ran alongside a forest edge, their movements fluid despite their massive size. Each beast was easily the size of an earth elephant, with thick muscled limbs and powerful jaws. "Beautiful," Miller whispered. Where other species saw monsters, he saw magnificent animals, powerful and intelligent. Just like humanity's ancestors had once looked at wolves and seen potential partners rather than just predators. The ship's sensors picked up a transmission from a small observation post the Galactic Council maintained in orbit. The alien observers were practically begging them to turn back, sending footage of previous disasters and death tolls. Miller had his communications officer send back a simple response: "Thank you for your concern. However, humanity has quite a bit of experience with this sort of thing." As they prepared their landing site, Miller looked at the data scrolling across his screens. The creatures' pack behavior, their hunting patterns, their social structure, it all pointed to something humanity understood very well. These weren't just mindless killers. They were social predators, intelligent and complex. "Let's show the galaxy what humans can do," Miller said to his crew. "We didn't become Earth's dominant species by running from challenges. We did it by understanding and working with the formidable creatures we shared our world with." The Horizon Seeker touched down on X-227's surface, its reinforced landing gear handling the gravity with ease. In orbit, the alien observers prepared to document yet another disaster. They had no way of knowing they were about to witness the beginning of something remarkable instead. The first week on planet X-227 was spent building the research base. Unlike the previous attempts by other species, the humans took their time. They studied the land, observed the massive beasts from a distance, and most importantly, they learned. Dr. Anna Wells sat in the observation tower, watching a pack of the creatures through powerful binoculars. She had spent 20 years working with large predators on Earth, and these animals, which the crew now called shadowhounds, fascinated her. "Look at that," she said to Captain Miller, who stood beside her. "They have a clear social structure. The big one with the scared ear. He's not the strongest, but he's definitely the leader, just like wolf packs back home." Through their cameras, they watched as the pack moved with surprising grace despite their massive size. In the planet's heavy gravity, each shadowhound weighed as much as 3 Earth elephants, yet they moved like dancers. The aliens in the orbital station kept sending worried messages. "Humans, you must retreat. Yesterday, that pack killed a herd of giant grass eaters twice their size. They are unstoppable." But the humans saw something different. They didn't see mindless killers. They saw intelligent hunters. The way the pack surrounded their prey, how they communicated with subtle ear movements, how the younger ones learned from the older ones, it was all familiar. "You know what this reminds me of?" Miller asked, looking through old Earth records on his tablet. "The first humans who looked at wolves and thought, 'Hey, maybe we could work together.' Everyone probably thought they were crazy too." Dr. Wells nodded, making notes on her computer. "The key is understanding their language. Every species communicates. We just need to learn how." The research team set up special cameras all around their base. They recorded everything. How the shadowhounds hunted, how they played, how they greeted each other. They noticed that the creatures were curious about the base, but hadn't tried to attack it like they had with previous alien installations. "They're studying us too," Dr. Wells realized one morning. "Look at how they watch us. They're trying to figure us out, just like we're trying to figure them out." The breakthrough came on day 10. One of the younger shadowhounds got hurt during a hunt, its leg caught in a natural rock formation. The pack was clearly distressed, but couldn't help their packmate. The human team saw their chance. Dr. Wells prepared a plan that seemed insane to their alien observers. "We're going to help it," she announced to the team. "But we need to do this exactly right. One wrong move, and we'll lose any chance of gaining their trust." They loaded up their reinforced vehicle with medical supplies. Dr. Wells had studied animal medicine, and while these creatures were alien, their bone structure wasn't too different from Earth mammals. The pack watched as the humans approached slowly in their vehicle. They growled warnings but didn't attack. The injured young one whimpered, and Dr. Wells spoke softly, continuously, letting them get used to her voice. "Easy now," she said, even though she knew they couldn't understand the words. It was the tone that mattered. "We're here to help. Easy." The pack's leader, the one with the scared ear, stood his ground between the humans and the injured youth, but he didn't attack. He watched, all 6 eyes focused on their every move. It took 4 hours of patient work, 4 hours of gentle movements, soft voices, and careful handling. But they did it. They freed the young shadowhound and treated its injury. What happened next amazed even the humans. Instead of running away, the pack stayed. They kept their distance, but they watched. The leader even took a few steps closer, sniffing the air curiously. In the orbital station, the alien observers couldn't believe what they were seeing. One of them sent an urgent message to the Galactic Council. "The humans are doing something impossible. They're actually communicating with these monsters." Back at the base that evening, Dr. Wells made an entry in her log. Day 10. First contact successful. Just like our ancestors thousands of years ago, We've taken the first step toward understanding these magnificent creatures. They're not monsters. They're potential partners. And only humans would be crazy enough to see that. The shadowhounds howled that night, their deep voices shaking the ground. But to the humans, it didn't sound like a threat anymore. It sounded like the beginning of a conversation. 2 weeks after helping the injured young shadowhound, the human research team made incredible progress. The pack now regularly came within 100 meters of the base, and Dr. Wells had mapped out their entire social structure. "It's amazing," she explained during the morning briefing, pointing to images on the large screen. "They have clear ranks, just like wolves, but with more complexity. Look at how the older females guide the younger ones, teaching them to hunt." The alien observers had stopped sending warning messages and now watched with fascination. They couldn't understand how the humans walked around outside their base without being eaten. One morning, something unexpected happened. The pack's leader, now nicknamed Old Scar by the team, approached the base carrying something in his massive jaws. The security team raised their stunners, but Dr. Wells waved them down. "Wait," she said, watching through her binoculars. "He's bringing us something." Old Scar dropped a large piece of meat from his latest hunt near the base's entrance. Then he stepped back and sat, all 6 eyes fixed on the humans, his tail sweeping the ground slowly. "He's offering us food," Miller said in amazement, "just like wolves would share with pack members." Dr. Wells grabbed her recording device. "This is extraordinary. They're not just tolerating us. They're trying to include us in their social structure." The team decided to accept the offering, but carefully. They sent out their best animal handler, Tame, in a reinforced suit. He walked slowly, picking up the meat while keeping his body language relaxed and respectful. Old Scar watched, his ears moving forward with interest. When Tom placed some dried meat from Earth's cattle in the same spot before retreating, the giant creature's tail moved faster. "They're trading with us," Dr. Wells said excitedly. "This is exactly how early humans might have started bonding with wolves thousands of years ago, through food sharing." The next few days brought more breakthroughs. The pack started bringing their young ones closer to the base. The humans watched in awe as baby shadowhounds, each already the size of a small car, played and tumbled under their parents' watchful eyes. "Look at their behavior," Dr. Wells pointed out. "They're showing us their young ones. That's a huge sign of trust in any species." The team worked on understanding the shadowhound's complex communication system. They had different growls, different ear positions, and even used their multiple eyes to signal different things. The humans started mimicking some of these signals, using special lights to copy the eye patterns. One day, a young shadowhound responded to their light signals by approaching the fence and lying down, showing its belly, a clear sign of trust. The alien observers couldn't believe it. One of them wrote in their report, "The humans have achieved in 3 weeks what 7 advanced species couldn't do in years. These creatures, which killed hundreds of our best scientists, are now playing with them like pets." But Dr. Wells knew better. "They're not pets," she explained in her daily log. "They're partners, just like dogs became partners with humans, not pets. These creatures are incredibly intelligent. They're choosing to work with us because we're choosing to understand them." The biggest surprise came when the pack faced the threat from another, rival pack. Instead of running away, they positioned themselves between the rival pack and the human base. They were protecting the humans. "This is it," Miller said, watching the scene unfold. "This is what our ancestors felt when they first realized wolves were guarding their camps. We're not just observers anymore. We're part of their world." That evening, as the team celebrated their progress, they received a message from the Galactic Council. Other species wanted to learn the human secret. How had they tamed these untamable beasts? Dr. Wells smiled as she wrote her response. "We didn't tame them. We earned their trust. There's a big difference. That's something humanity learned long ago. The best partnerships are built on mutual respect, not control. And maybe that's why only humans would dare to try this approach in the first place." Outside, the shadowhound's howls echoed through the night, but now they sounded welcoming. The gap between two species from different worlds was closing, one day at a time. Tom Reed had worked with dangerous animals all his life. He trained bears in Russia, handled big cats in Africa, and even worked with giant squid in Earth's deep oceans, but nothing had prepared him for what he was about to try. He stood at the base's entrance, wearing his reinforced gravity suit, looking at the young female shadowhound that had been visiting him every morning for the past week. The team had named her Star because of a white star-shaped mark on her chest. "You're crazy," the base's security chief told him. "Even if she seems friendly, she could crush you by accident. These creatures evolved in double Earth's gravity." But Tom saw something in Star's eyes, all 6 of them. She was curious, intelligent, and most importantly, she showed signs of wanting to connect. She would lie down when he approached, keeping her head low, showing trust. Every great partnership between humans and animals started with one person taking a chance, Tom said, checking his suit one last time. Dr. Wells stood nearby with medical equipment, ready for anything. The alien observers in orbit watched with a mixture of horror and fascination as Tom stepped out of the base's safe zone. Star raised her massive head, each of her eyes focusing on him. She was young for her species, but still larger than any Earth elephant. Tom walked slowly, remembering everything he'd learned about shadowhound body language. He kept his movements smooth and predictable. He'd seen how they greeted each other, the gentle head bumps, the soft growls. "Hey, beautiful," he said softly, using the calm voice that had worked with countless other animals. "Let's make history together." Star watched him approach. Her tail moved slowly, not the aggressive swish they'd seen before, but the gentle wave they now knew meant curiosity. She lowered her head, bringing it down to his level. In the observation room, everyone held their breath. Dr. Wells had her hand on the emergency alarm. The alien observers sent frantic messages warning of certain death. Tom stopped 2 meters from Star. He turned slightly sideways, a sign of peace in shadowhound body language. Then he did something that made everyone gasp. He took off his protective helmet. "Tom," Dr. Wells warned through the radio. "What are you doing?" "She needs to smell me," Tom replied calmly. "Real trust needs real contact." Star's nostrils flared as she caught his scent. Her head moved closer, and Tom felt her hot breath on his face. One wrong move, one startled reaction, and those jaws could end him instantly. Instead, Star made a soft, rumbling sound, one they'd only heard mothers make to their pups. Then, moving with incredible gentleness for such a massive creature, she bumped her nose against Tom's chest. In the observation room, Dr. Wells started crying. "He did it," she whispered. "First direct physical contact between a human and a shadowhound." Tom slowly raised his hand. Star watched him but didn't move away. When his palm touched the thick fur on her neck, he felt the powerful muscles underneath, but there was no tension in them. Star leaned into his touch, just like a dog would. "Good girl," Tom said softly. "Good girl." The next hour became the most important in the mission's history. Star let Tom examine her, touch her face, and even look at her teeth. She seemed to understand he was studying her and stayed perfectly still. The aliens watching from orbit sent message after message to the Galactic Council. A video of Tom touching Star's face went viral across the galaxy. Species that had feared these creatures for years watched in amazement as a human calmly interacted with one. When Tom finally walked back to the base, Star followed him to the gate. She only left when he went inside, and even then, she lay down nearby, guarding the entrance. That night, Tom wrote in his log, "Today we proved what humanity has always known. There are no monsters in nature, only creatures waiting to be understood. With patience, respect, and courage, any gap can be bridged. Star isn't just tolerating me. She's chosen to be my friend. And that's a gift only humans would be crazy enough to accept from a creature that could eat them whole." The next morning, Star was waiting at the gate, and this time she wasn't alone. 3 more young shadowhounds had come with her, all showing the same curious, friendly behavior. The real work was just beginning. The storm came without warning. Planet X-227's weather systems were still largely a mystery, but this storm was like nothing the humans had ever seen. Black clouds rolled in, bringing winds strong enough to bend steel and rain that fell like bullets in the planet's heavy gravity. "The base won't hold," Miller shouted over the howling wind. The reinforced walls were already creaking under the strain. "We need to evacuate to the backup shelter." But there was a problem. The backup shelter was 5 kilometers away, through dense forest. In this gravity, with this weather, the journey would be nearly impossible. Their vehicles couldn't handle the wind, and walking would take too long. Dr. Wells stared at the security screens, worried about something else. "The shadowhounds. Their normal shelter areas will be flooded. The whole pack is in danger." As if answering her concerns, they heard deep howls over the storm. Outside the base, Old Scar and his pack had appeared. Star was with them, pressing herself against the base's gates. Tom, who had spent the last week building his bond with Star, looked at Captain Miller. "Sir, I have an idea, but you're going to think I'm insane. More insane than what you've already done." Miller asked, managing a smile despite the crisis. "The shadowhounds know this planet. They know where it's safe." Tom took a deep breath. "And I think they want to help us." The base shuddered as another blast of wind hit it. They had minutes, not hours, to decide. Dr. Wells understood immediately. They're pack animals. They protect their own. And after these weeks of interaction, we're part of their pack now, Tom finished. Miller looked at the screens. The shadowhounds weren't running away to safety. They were waiting, all 20 of them, gathered around the base. Their behavior was clear. They wanted the humans to follow. "Do it," Miller ordered. "It's our only chance." What happened next would become legendary across the galaxy. The humans, wearing their gravity suits, emerged from the failing base. The pack immediately formed a circle around them, using their massive bodies as shields against the wind. Star pressed close to Tom, and he did something that made the alien observers scream in disbelief. He climbed onto her back. "It's okay, girl," he said, feeling her muscles adjust to his weight easily in the heavy gravity. "Show us the way." The other shadowhounds moved closer, lowering themselves, clearly inviting the humans to climb on. Some humans were scared, but the choice was simple: trust these creatures or die in the storm. One by one, they mounted the shadowhounds. The creature's strength and the high gravity made the humans' weight feel like nothing. Old Scar took the lead, and Star stayed close behind him with Tom. The pack moved through the storm like it was nothing. Their powerful bodies barely noticed the wind that would have thrown a human across the landscape. Their 6 eyes could see perfectly in the darkness, and they knew every safe path through the forest. The aliens watching from orbit couldn't believe their readings. The shadowhounds were moving at incredible speeds, yet so smoothly that none of their human riders fell. They weren't just carrying the humans, they were protecting them, adjusting their movements to keep their riders safe. The pack led them to a massive cave system, high above the flood zone. It was warm, dry, and safe. The shadowhounds had brought the humans to their own shelter. Inside the cave, something amazing happened. The pack formed a circle around the humans, their huge bodies providing warmth. Young pups came forward, curious about their new cave mates. Star didn't leave Tom's side all night. "They saved our lives," Miller said, watching the storm rage outside while they sat safe in the cave. "They could have left us. Instead, they risked themselves to help us." Dr. Wells was already recording everything. "This goes beyond anything we expected. This isn't just cooperation. This is true partnership, like dogs protecting their humans, but on a whole different scale." The storm raged for 2 days. When it finally cleared, the humans found their base destroyed. But they had gained something far more valuable: absolute proof that humans and shadowhounds could work together. The video of humans riding shadowhounds through the storm went viral across the galaxy. Suddenly, everyone wanted to know how humans had achieved the impossible. But Tom, scratching Star behind her ears as she purred like a giant cat, knew the answer was simple. We just had to be brave enough to trust them first. 3 months after the Great Storm, the human base on planet X-227 looked very different. Gone were the high walls and defensive barriers. Instead, large open areas allowed shadowhounds to come and go freely. The aliens watching from orbit could hardly believe their eyes. "You want to do what?" Captain Miller asked Tom during a morning meeting. Tom stood next to a hologram showing a specially designed saddle. "We need to make this official. The storm proved that humans can ride shadowhounds. Now we need to do it properly." Dr. Wells supported the idea. Several members of the pack are already showing interest in working with specific humans. Star won't let anyone but Tom ride her. The engineering team had been busy. They showed their designs for special riding equipment made to work in the planet's heavy gravity. The saddles were reinforced but lightweight, designed to distribute weight evenly across a shadowhound's massive back. "Look at this," the head engineer said proudly, displaying a helmet with 6 separate eye displays. "It lets riders see what their shadowhound partners see, all 6 viewing angles at once." The first official riding trials started a week later. Star and Tom led the way, showing other humans and shadowhounds how to work together. The pack seemed to understand what the humans wanted and actively helped train their younger members. "It's remarkable," Dr. Wells noted in her log. "The adult shadowhounds are actually teaching their young ones how to carry humans safely. They're passing on the knowledge within their pack." Old Scar watched everything from his favorite spot near the base, approving each new human shadowhound pair. He seemed to understand the importance of proper matches, often stepping in if a particular combination wasn't working well. News spread across the galaxy. Other species started arriving to watch the training. They couldn't believe their eyes when they saw humans casually riding creatures that had killed hundreds of their best scientists. "How is this possible?" a visiting alien scientist asked after watching a training session. Tom smiled, patting Star's massive neck. "We didn't try to control them. We became their friends instead. These aren't just mounts. They're partners." The breeding program was the next big step. Several shadowhounds had shown excellent aptitude for working with humans. With the pack's cooperation, the team started carefully selecting pairs that showed the best traits for human partnership. "We're not changing who they are," Dr. Wells explained to worried alien observers. "We're working with them to create an even stronger bond between our species, just like our ancestors did with wolves and horses." The first human-raised shadowhound pups were amazing. Born into a world where humans were already part of their pack, they showed even greater ability to work with people. They were just as strong and intelligent as their wild parents, but with a natural understanding of human partnership. One day, a group of space pirates tried to raid the base, thinking it would be easy prey so far from civilization. They got a big surprise. The base's new defense force, humans riding shadowhounds, emerged from the forest like living tanks. The pirates fled without firing a single shot. Word of this incident spread quickly. Suddenly, every human frontier settlement wanted their own shadowhound unit. The Galactic Council, which had once warned everyone away from planet X-227, now asked the humans to start a training program for other species. "It won't be easy," Tom told them. "Not everyone has the patience and courage needed to bond with a shadowhound. You can't force it. The partnership has to be real." 6 months after the first contact, the base celebrated a major milestone. 20 human shadowhound pairs graduated from the first official training program. They would form the core of a new planetary defense force. During the ceremony, Star stood proudly next to Tom, wearing her new official gear. The specialized saddle gleamed, and her rider's helmet displayed all 6 viewing angles perfectly. Other shadowhounds sat with their chosen humans, creating an image that would have seemed impossible just months ago. Dr. Wells made her final entry in the research log that evening. Humanity has done it again. Just like our ancestors who first looked at fierce wolves and saw potential friends, we've turned supposedly untamable monsters into loyal partners. The galaxy is finally learning what humans have known for thousands of years. With patience, respect, and courage, any creature can become a friend. That night, humans and shadowhounds patrolled together under X-227's 3 moons, their bond growing stronger with each passing day. 5 years had passed since humans first landed on planet X-227. The once forbidden world had become the home of the Galactic Beastmaster Academy, the most prestigious animal handling school in known space. Tom Reed, now chief instructor of the academy, rode Star through the morning mist. Both had aged a little, but their bond had only grown stronger. Behind them rode 20 new students from different alien species, each carefully chosen for their potential to understand the human way of working with animals. Remember, Tom called out to his students, your shadowhound isn't just a mount. They're your partner, your friend, and sometimes your teacher. Trust goes both ways. The alien students rode on specially bred shadowhounds, the 4th generation of human-raised pups. These young creatures were just as powerful as their wild ancestors, but had a natural inclination to work with other species. At the main campus, Dr. Wells was giving a lecture to a new group of scientists. The room's massive windows showed the training grounds where humans and shadowhounds practiced complex maneuvers together. Humanity's greatest gift, she explained, isn't our technology or our strength. It's our ability to make friends with the creatures everyone else fears. We've done it throughout our history, with wolves, horses, elephants, and now with shadowhounds. The academy had become famous across the galaxy. Every day, ships arrived bringing people who wanted to learn the human way of animal handling. The shadowhound riders had become legendary, serving as scouts, rescue teams, and protectors on dangerous frontier worlds. Old Scar, now very gray around his muzzle, still lived near the academy. He had become something of a legend himself, the first shadowhound to trust humans. Young pups would gather around him as he watched the training sessions, as if he was supervising everything. Captain Miller, now Governor Miller of X-227 Colony, stood on his office balcony watching a graduation ceremony. 50 pairs of riders and shadowhounds moved in perfect formation, their specialized gear gleaming in the morning light. Each rider wore the advanced 6-eye helmet that let them see through their partner's eyes. Did you ever imagine this 5 years ago? He asked Dr. Wells, who stood beside him. She smiled, watching as Star and Tom led the formation. Honestly, yes. This is what humans do. We see potential friends where others see monsters. We just needed the chance to prove it. The shadowhounds had changed too. While the wild packs still roamed the forests, many had chosen to live and work with other species. They remained fierce and powerful, but they had learned to be gentle when needed. Some even worked in hospitals, helping to carry equipment in high-gravity environments. A small shadowhound pup, barely the size of a horse, played with alien children in the academy's yard. Its 6 eyes watched carefully as it let them climb on its back, just as its parents had taught it. That's the real victory, Tom told his students, pointing to the scene. Not that we tamed them, but that they chose to share their world with us. And now they're choosing to share it with you too. The Galactic Council had completely changed its view of Planet X-227. What was once considered a deadly forbidden zone was now a shining example of cooperation between species. The Council even added a new law. Any newly discovered dangerous creatures had to be first evaluated by human experts before being declared untamable. That evening, as the 3 moons rose over the academy, Tom and Star took their usual patrol around the perimeter. Other pairs of riders and shadowhounds nodded as they passed, each sharing that special bond that had once seemed impossible. From the forest, a wild pack watched them, but there was no hostility, only peaceful coexistence. Some of their pups would probably choose to join the academy one day, while others would remain free. Both choices were respected. As Tom wrote in his final training manual, The galaxy has learned what humanity always knew. There are no monsters in nature's design. There are only creatures waiting for someone brave enough, patient enough, and caring enough to understand them. And that's why only humans would dare to tame these creatures, because we never really wanted to tame them at all. We just wanted to be their friends. The story of humans and shadowhounds became a legend across the galaxy. But on X-227, it was just the beginning of a partnership that would last for generations to come.